Good morning, everybody. It's really early Sunday morning. I'm sitting outside. It's a chilly fall day. But I just wanted to come on and talk about a few things today. And I want to preface this by saying I'm not here just to bash the royal family. But what I want to do is to bring some awareness to those that basically pledge blind faith in the monarchy. The Queen could do no wrong. Kate and William, Prince and Princess of Wales, they're fabulous. Charles, our new king, God save the king. The loyalty and the love and the reverence, I think, is a bit misplaced, although it's not those people's faults because they've been bred all their lives to live under a monarchy and accept it and look up to them as some kind of paragons, or the Queen embodies the country. Well, now Charles does. But this kind of blind faith and loyalty kind of puts a blinder over their eyes so they don't see anything else that's going on. I mean, there's millions of channels on YouTube that, and I've done myself. We bash Meghan and Harry. We bash Andrew. Oh, they're bad people, but everybody else is, you know, can do no wrong. It's just not true. Don't, um, don't forget it. The royal family is an institution that has ties and influence with the government. There's tax laws made especially for them, and basically they don't have to pay any tax, and in the words of the government documents, quote, in order to preserve the wealth of the monarchy. What we're going to be talking today is tax havens and the monarchy's ties to that, insider trading, and how it works and how the monarchy benefits. These are things people should know. All right, tax havens. We can go back, and I'm sure it happened before this, but anyway, the first one we knew about was in 2012 when a big investigation into not really tax fraud, not really tax evasion. Everything that was done is legal, but it was due to tax loopholes and some really acrobatic accounting that this was done. Basically, it was found out that a lot of very rich Britons were using the Isle of Jersey as a tax haven through a scheme by which they would create sort of ghost companies, and the ghost company would buy the private jet, and then the individual would lease it from the ghost company. I mean, those kinds of things. Everything snarled up so that it was really hard to get to who owns what and how does it all work. At this time, at this tax scandal, there were some prominent people in Britain that were called out. There was, I think the lead singer, that there was a boy band called, um, What's That, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, he was, leasing his private jet to himself, and Take That, that's the name of the band. And I can't remember the individual's name, but he had a scheme going on by which he owned a private jet, but it was listed under this sort of ghost company that he would then lease the jet from. And I mean, it was just shuffling money from one ledger to another, but you know, he avoided all kinds, and there was lots of other things. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But anyway, so he was sort of given a pass, I didn't know that, I'm so sorry, I didn't understand what my accountants were doing, and big famous guy, he got a pass. One person that was just pilloried in the press was a comedian called Jimmy Carr. If you're from Britain, you're very familiar with him. I know he's done shows in America and stuff. Um, a very funny guy. But what happened with him is his accountants had it all set up, and he had these accounts in Jersey as well. And he ended up, through all this acrobatics, paying only 2% tax on his income tax. Well, he was called out as the poster boy of this horrible, you know, tax haven scheme. Even David Cameron, the prime minister at the time, went publicly and spoke to the newspaper and just pilloried Jimmy Carr in the press. Notwithstanding, there was a lot of other very wealthy Britons that were doing the same thing. And one of the wealthiest and most well-known Britons that had money in a Jersey offshore account, paid no tax on her investments, was none other than Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. That's right. You can pillory a singer. You can pillory a comedian. Queen's accountants were doing the same darn thing. Her investments, her private wealth, you'd have one company and then it was owned by another company and this and that and the other. So it's very hard to track where the money's coming from and where it's actually held. All that was mentioned about it is, the queen popped up in this, and that was it. There was no big investigation into her personal wealth, the private finances, nothing like that, though they raked these other people over the coals. Skip now to just a few years ago. Another expose came out called the Paradise Papers. Another situation of tax haven stuff going on in the Caribbean. You guessed it. Who else? Who else was involved in that? Whose name popped up again? Queen Elizabeth. So she's got money all over the globe in tax havens. Nobody knows her personal wealth. Nobody knows the real wealth of the monarchy. Oh, sure, there's the state jewels in the art collection and this and that. They don't really own it. They're just get to decorate their houses and put on $1 million hats. But huge question about the personal wealth held. And even these tax haven schemes that have come to light are only the tip of the iceberg. Think about the Duchy of Cornwall, which is now under the direction of William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales. The Duchy of Cornwall was created in the 1700s. I think it was a King George, to preserve or to build the wealth and provide an income for the Prince of Wales going forward. And that's how it's always been. It always passes down from one Prince of Wales to the other. Overnight, when the Queen died and Charles ascended, William became the basically owner of the Duchy of Cornwall, all the land, all the all the real estate, all the business. It's his cash cow. As I said before in my previous video, um, the royal houses, the royal income, all the real estate, any inheritance that they receive from the Queen, monetary, or as things get shuffled around, as positions change and everybody gets a new house, they don't pay inheritance tax. Big Willie hasn't paid any inheritance tax, and he became a billionaire overnight. Charles doesn't pay any inheritance tax. None of them do. They voluntarily pay income tax, but it is just a token. It's nowhere near what they could pay. So they've been engaged in not tax evasion, nothing illegal, tax illusion, let's say, for a very long time. You know, as a lot of rich people do. I mean, they all look for tax loopholes, and all the big corporations. I mean, we know that anyway. None of them pay tax, but God forbid our monarchy is supposed to be, you know, next to God and above the world. They would never do anything like that. They'll take your taxes, but they won't pay theirs. That's right. They'll take your money. I know a little bit about this. I'm Canadian, so we live under the monarchy here as well. She owns half the bloody land in Canada. It's called Crown Land. Well, now Charles. Sorry. Still getting used to that. King Charles. You know, a lot of our tax money goes straight to the crown as well, as does every Commonwealth country, to support the wealth of the monarchy. They don't care about us. They don't care about our tax rate, what we have to pay. We don't get those kind of breaks. We don't get those tax loopholes. Oh, wow. That's just the order of things, don't you know? But we pledge blind faith to them. Now you might say, well, the other half of your title is insider trading. How's that work? It's very interesting. Don't forget. Now, King Charles, we had a picture of him just the other day, his first official day at work, sitting at his desk with the red box, which contains all the papers and the bills and the things they're discussing in Parliament, and things that need royal assent, Charles' signature. So imagine this. There's a bill or an upcoming bill, or some parliamentary committee is discussing something. All of these papers pass Charles' desk. So just imagine there was, like, I don't know, an oil deal, or a very large company wants to acquire something else, or, you know, some kind of big high-flying business deal that prompts the Parliament to have a discussion about it. All these papers cross Charles's desk. He meets with the Prime Minister once a week. Oh. Hey, Liz. Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister. Can you imagine, Charles? Hey, Liz. I saw this piece of legislation in my papers the other day, and it looks like you want to do this, and this, you want to, you're going to invest in this company's wherever it is, and how's that coming along? Well, then now Charles, having this information of perhaps an upcoming merger or deal or government investment in something, or you can imagine. He can go talk to his advisors and his lawyers and say, you know what? This company is going to be worth, $1 billion as soon as this bill goes through. Let's throw some money at this. Insider trading. And they do it all the time. There are, the monarchy doesn't just own the castles and whatever. They own lots of real estate. They are invested in lots of businesses. You won't know all of them. They keep it very hidden. There's a group of investigators that for years have been trying to get to the bottom of it, and it's just a big tangled web, and it's done that way purposely so that you can't really find out what's going on. But with the king having the availability to know what's going on in government and business, it's easy for him to advise his advisors or his lawyers or his bankers, let's do this. And don't say, oh, no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way. The monarchy wouldn't do that to us. Do you know, at the time when Princess Diana had her campaign against landmines, one of the reasons the palace was so upset about it? Well, turns out one of the Queen's ghost company financial scheme investment hidden banker deals, she owned an interest in the company that makes the landmines. And get Diana to ban them worldwide through her influence. The Queen's out a whole lot of millions every year. That's the main reason that they did not approve of Diana's landmine campaign. And I mean, if you don't believe me, that's fine. You can look it up. There is information about it. You won't find a ton, because like I say, all this financial stuff is really hidden. But there is evidence out there that is the truth. So they're not just your benevolent monarchy. They're your overlords. They take from you, you give to them, you bow at their feet and kiss the ring and praise them, God save the king. You have to realize that they don't deserve your loyalty. They don't deserve your devotion. They don't deserve your worship. You've got to look at what's really going on, how the game is really played, how much power they actually have. And when you start to look into this and realize what's really going on, think your attitude's going to change just a little bit. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Send me a comment. I'd like to know what you're thinking. And we'll see you in the next one.